Yo, it's blessed. It's your boy T.O.P. here with the RichSoul Podcast, man, where I'm here promoting inner prosperity by any means necessary. You know, I want to thank you guys for joining me today. This is episode 2, so we're still new to this, but, you know, we're still trying to bring that potent energy, you know what I mean, that I feel like everybody needs right now in a time where, you know, guidance is like pivotal, you know, not just for, you know, for children, but, you know, for all of us, for adults as well, you know, because I feel like we're in a time where everybody's trying to find their way. But before we get started, I want to give a shout out to a few of our sponsors today. You know, I wanted to give a shout out to our sponsor, RichSoul Foods. You know, right now we are on day 5 of the New Moon Cleanse. If you guys don't know about the New Moon Cleanse, I suggest you guys go tap in with RichSoul Foods so you guys can get some more insight on that. But it's a potent cleanse, you know, where we are cleansing the liver, you know what I mean, with the Cassiolata tea, you know, so we will be drinking that on set today. So I already had some of this steeping today for y'all, getting ready for that. So this is what I'll be sipping on throughout the podcast, you know what I mean? Welcoming in that new moon energy, that energy that we need to grow. So Pete, today's episode is, I want to give a shout out to a good friend of mine, Mac. You know, he's the one who really inspired this title, you know, and it's you know, spirit ain't gangster, spirit versus gangster. And I feel like gangster versus spirit, I feel like these are things that we don't talk about enough, especially like when we're talking about, you know, the elders down to the younger generation, but we're definitely not talking about it in the generations like within each other. So I wanted to kind of crack the ice on that, you know, because I feel like a lot of the young guys, especially like the younger generation right now, is focused on being G, you know, and being gangster, and being from Southern California, being from LA, and knowing that definition, you know, like that definition like has its weight, you know what I mean? So it's like, if that's what you are, that's what you are, you know, but spirit and gangster. And I feel like, you know, especially like in the indigenous community, I want to talk about with us, it's, you know, we focus so much on being G or being gangster, and it's just focused on the wrong frequency. You know what I mean? Because they're two different frequencies, you know what I mean? Because we are spirit, you know, like we aren't gangsters by default. You know what I'm saying? Like when you're born, you're not gangster. Like gangster is something that I feel like has to be developed. You know what I'm saying? Like also like spirit is just what you are. That's your innate birthright. You know what I mean? And I feel like we're not teaching each other to be spirit, you know, like there's a way you can keep it G, quote unquote, but still remain within your spiritual health. And I feel like, you know, we still talking about, you know, we're talking about health ultimately, you know, the spiritual health of this. So I'm just giving you guys my perspective on what I feel can contribute to that type of growth. And kind of to build off, you know what I'm saying, like my last episode, you know, I talked a lot about accountability, and I feel like this kind of falls in that, you know, where we're holding each other accountable, like to be able to lift each other up and give each other these frequencies. So, you know, I don't mean to, you know, disrespect, you know, how anybody goes about their life, you know, when I'm speaking about this, just, you know, because at the end of the day, like, you know, being from that, you know what I'm saying, I understand what it is, you know what I'm saying, to be gangster, you know what I'm saying, I understand what it is to be spirit, you know, and I'm saying that I feel like as a community of people, we got to focus on being spirit more so, you know, being more so in our spirits and our spiritual wholeness, you know, and we walk around detached from our spirits most of the day. So we're making low-level choices, low-level decisions that are outside of ourselves, you know, because we're not attached to our spirit. We're attached to an exterior perspective of ourselves, you know, and that is something that I really think that is overlooked. When you're attached to that type of title, you know what I mean? It's just, that's what it is. You know, like you're attached to that title. You're trying to, oh, I'm a basketball player. Okay, cool. Like I'm forming to that. Like it's an exterior, you know what I'm saying? But spirit is what you are. Not saying that you aren't a basketball player, but spirit is literally your makeup. That's what we all are. So until we truly understand that energy that we are spirit, I feel like we're going to be heading in the wrong direction, because we're attaching ourselves to worldly type concepts that really don't have any relevance to the growth. You know, sometimes I talked about this in the last episode a little bit when I said, you have your choices, man, you know, and it's like, you're going to put that effort into what you want to be, but it's all in how you visualize things, you know. And if you visualize yourself being that, then that's what you're gonna be. You know, it doesn't matter what it is. You know, like Spirit versus Gangsta is just a title right now, but you know, you could have whatever versus whatever. You know what I'm saying? But being in your spirit is what I'm trying to really like drive home to everybody right now, because we get lost. We get too attached, detached from ourselves, attached to concepts, detached from self, attached to the world. You know what I mean? And that's where I'm trying to paint for y'all, because I don't think I could drive that home any further. Of like, if you want to be in touch with yourself, you got to admit who you are first. You know, so it's like admitting to yourself who you are is like a whole different step. You know, are you spirit? You know what I'm saying? Like, are you confident enough to really believe in that despite what this world teaches us? You know what I'm saying? You got to go to work every day. You got to go to this. But if we just stayed within self, we probably realize that we can create everything we need right here from within, from a place of stillness, you know, and we just don't sit still enough. I think that when I started to learn to sit still, not running around trying to do a whole bunch of shit, that I feel like, you know, that's what helped me grow. Because it's like when you running around, you're attached to things. Let's say, you know, you being attached. Let's go back to this real quick. You being attached to being gangster. It's like, okay, you're attached to things, but you still have like the conscious choice. But the concept of being gangster is going to lead you to make quote unquote gangster choices, which is going to put you on an even lower frequency, even more detached from yourself, because you're getting further and further away from yourself. You have that conscious decision to choose yourself every time. You know what I'm saying? But you choose the concept. We collectively as people, we choose the concept over ourselves. So that's the definition of self-love. Like, you got to love and trust yourself enough to choose yourself over that. You know what I mean? Self-preservation, preserve yourself, pace yourself. That's something that my father tells me a lot. You know, he tells me, you know, you got to pace yourself, you know, because, you know, this is a marathon, you know, and, you know, if we out here burning ourselves out, that's why I love Kendrick, you know. He got this one song, you know, and Dying of Thirst. And Dying of Thirst was so heavy because it was just like, you know, I feel like it was one of those episodes where it was just talking about like, or one of those songs where it was just talking about, man, I'm hungry for change. I'm thirsty for the knowledge, you know, and it's like, but all my ambition is like going into the wrong direction, you know, the wrong place. You know, you got the spiritual power, you know, we all have it, but where are we putting it? You know, you're putting your spiritual power into being that, into being gangster. You know what I mean? But to be spirit is a whole another level of being human, in a sense. Like, that's a whole different level of the human experience. Like, I don't think that you could even experience the human experience fully unless you understand that you are a spirit and operating from that space. You know what I'm saying? Returning home, returning to base, you know? Like, what are our practices throughout the day? You know what I'm saying? Throughout the day to come back to ourselves. Breathing exercises, what do we use, you know, to come back to ourselves every day? Like, what techniques are we using to come back to ourselves? Because think about how detached you can get from yourself. You know what I mean? You got kids to pick up from school. You got to be at work at this time. You got to pick such and such up from here. He owes you money. It's like, come on. You know, so now it's like you're caught up in all of this. You're caught up in the cloud, you know, and detached from self. So just being able to stay attached to self will help you make more powerful decisions that'll put you in a place of peace, you know, because now, like, I try to tell people, like, for instance, like, people get so attached, you know what I'm saying, to the negative energy, you know what I'm saying? It's like, I try to tell people, I'm like, look, if you haven't been bit by that hate bug, like, don't seek it out, you know. And self, like, what's the opposite of love? Hate, right? So it's like you can be exercising, and I don't even think that there's a median in between, you know what I'm saying, on how you can treat yourself. It's love and hate, you know, and most of us have a love-hate relationship with ourselves, you know, and so that's just us being all the way honest with ourselves, you know, as far as where we're at, you know. So it's like we got that love-hate relationship, but what are you exercising every day? Love and hate, you know, love and hate, you know what I'm saying? Spirit, gangster, you know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, cool. Like, do I hate myself? because I'm making hateful decisions. I'm putting myself in bad situations. I'm putting people around me in bad situations. I'm putting the people around me in bad energy. That sounds like hate. You know what I'm saying? And Boosie said it best. He said hypnotized by hate. I feel like there's so many levels to that, being hypnotized by hate. You know what I'm saying? Because to be hypnotized almost means like to be out of your mind, you know? Like not in control of your choices. So it gets to the point where it's like domino effect, domino effect, domino effect. We just out of control of our choices to the point where we all the way on the hate side. Now we hate our lives. We hate where we at. That's hateful energy, you know. But if you haven't been bit by that hate bug, I wouldn't seek it out. You know, it's one of those things like if you have like the opportunity to choose love, I feel like then that's what you do. You know, if you have the opportunity to choose self and choose spirit, I feel like that's what you do, you know, and we're not holding each other accountable, you know what I'm saying, for that. I really wasn't going to talk about it, but I'm going to talk about it a little bit because Will Smith pulled some shit yesterday that I really don't know how I feel about. But what I will say is this: spirit, gangster, choice. You know what I'm saying? Like, I hear a lot of women saying, oh, he stuck up for his wife. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. But it was just way more to it than that. You know, I feel like it was tasteless. Like, it just classless. You know, if you want me to be all the way around honest. You couldn't pay me, because personally I think it's scripted, but whether it's scripted or not, like you couldn't pay me enough to humiliate my brother, and he ain't doing nothing but what he do. Chris Rock really wasn't doing nothing but what he does. You know what I mean? He's Chris Rock. You know what I'm saying? He didn't disrespect her womanhood. He didn't respect none of that. He didn't disrespect none of that. So it was just one of those, it was quick, moving on, and boom, here comes Will. So I feel like he had a choice. You know what I mean? I feel like he had a choice on what he was going to pick. You know what I'm saying? Whether he was going to be within the spirit or gangster. Because it's like, okay, cool. Like, let's look at it. You know, he look over, he sees that Jada's hurt. He sees she's pissed off. He tried to laugh it off, but then he look over to shoulder and see what she really want. Now he feel the pressure to be something. You know what I'm saying? Not to mention he's been in the media already, you know what I'm saying, being slandered. So as far as relationship issues, but I'm not going to do that. But you just got to make choices, man. I don't think that was a good choice, personally, you know what I'm saying, to humiliate, you know what I'm saying, somebody because of a joke that really wasn't, it was harmless, you know what I mean? So it's just one of those, now we got all this hate in the community, you know what I'm saying? It's just more hate. He chose hate. Now you got people siding against each other the next day, men versus women, you know, women versus women that feel what they think, just communities within each other. Now everybody's in uproar, you know, and I feel like, you know, you split, it's more division. You know what I mean? So I didn't like that. I didn't like that for that speak, because it doesn't lead to a place of peace, and it doesn't contribute to your culture at all. And as somebody who really looks up to Will to be like one of the, like, Will Smith is like all-time GOAT, all time. So it's like, to see him act like that, I'm confused. Let's just keep it that. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, spirit versus gangster, man, that wasn't spirit. You know what I'm saying? That wasn't gangster either, too, if you want me to keep it real. But what can we say, man? But I think that one thing that I want to leave with everyone is that you got that active, you have it in you, you know what I'm saying? You can make that choice to make that change. I don't know, you know, what I feel like Will was feeling, where he had to get up on stage, walk up on him, like, you know, like it was just too scripted for me. And even if it was real, it was like, bro, it's so outside of character, so out of yourself. Like, look at that, the choice that I'm talking about. You make this choice that's so outside of yourself, and you detach from yourself to go be in that. You know what I mean? And that's where, you know, I just want to encourage us to stay attached to ourselves, you know, at the core. Understand yourself at the core. If you don't understand yourself or understand yourself, you got to take the time to do that. You know, because you running around spreading confusion, you know what I'm saying? Like, when you're confused. You know, and that doesn't help the community, and we're trying to heal, you know, and I feel like, you know, people just don't know how to heal. People don't know what to do, and that's why I talk about it. You know, it's just like, how do we go about this, you know? And that's one thing that I want us to just really, like, stay, you know, with. Just stay attached to yourself and choose self. Take that time to really, you know, make those decisions that add up to yourself, so you can experience yourself at the highest self. You know what I mean? People talk about your higher self and ascension and the process of ascension. But that process of ascension is like manual. You know, like that's not an automatic. Like that's not an automatic thing that where like people try to like leave it up to fate. You control that. You know, you control this ascension process with your choices, daily practices. What's your activity like? How are you spending your time? That's one thing that we're not taking into account, like on a whole. You know, we're not passing that down from generation to generation. It's like we're way too distracted, you know, in the world. You know what I'm saying? Like we're just way too distracted in the world and with what's going on to where it's hard for people to come back to themselves. You know what I'm saying? And deal with that. You know what I mean? So I just encourage us all to deal with ourselves. You know what I mean? And I know I'm dealing with myself right now. You know, like we all dealing. But that's where you see the growth. That's where you see the success. So, you know, that ascension process, just know that ascension process is manual. It's not automatic. It's not guaranteed. It's not a prayer. You know what I mean? You got to take that by the hands. You know what I mean? You got to take that by the antlers. You know what I mean? And you got to control that. You got to control that. Because if you don't, you know what I'm saying? Like look at this. Will smacks this dude outside of himself. Boom. Now he's all over the media. He can't control none of this. That's anxiety. That doesn't bring peace. It brings mayhem and confusion. So it's like, I'm just using that, you know, because it's like, how's he going to be able to, you got to come back to yourself. The world is now involved. So let's just stay with ourselves, man, and try to make those peaceful decisions. You know what I'm saying? Those heavy decisions. You know, those patient decisions, you know, especially when we're representing our people. So, you know, we just got to represent at a higher level, you know, and if you want to reach your higher self, that ascension process is manual and you got to take it. You know, you got to take it on the handlebars. You know, you got to take control. You know what I mean? You got to take it off of autopilot. You know what I'm saying? You got to learn how to fly that plane. You know, and life is scary, but at the end of the day, it's like, it's going to continue to be scary unless you figure it the fuck out. You know what I mean? So you can either be scared or you can figure it out. You know, so you got those choices, man. But other than that, man, that's what I got for y'all today, man. It's your boy T.O.P. with the RichSoul Podcast. You know, I wanted to let y'all know, please do go subscribe to my channel right now. If you guys have it, you know, right now, link below, you know, for the YouTube. You know, you guys can follow me on my social medias, you know what I'm saying, to get clips and to get other, you know, little levels of insight, you know, and also to get insight on like my entrepreneurial endeavors. And that's how you can kind of stay up with me. But other than that, man, it's blessed. I want to give a shout out to everybody for tuning in for the last one. You know what I'm saying? I hope you guys enjoyed this one just as much. All right, y'all. Peace. Have a good one.